The attention filter. It doesn't take a genius to see that we are surrounded by more data than we can handle. The digital revolution has released a storm of emails, messages, tweets, updates, social feeds, news articles, and opinion blogs, creating a cacophony of information that clamors incessantly for our attention. Most of this digital data is created by individuals like you and me. It's been estimated that every 2 days we create around 5 exabytes of data. To put this in perspective, it's been proposed that if one could gather up all information created from the beginning of time until the year 2003, it would constitute the same amount. There's a limit to just how much of this information the brain can handle. Exposure to data in such large quantities is known as information overload, and it's a very real problem in today's world. To make matters worse, the endless stream of digital prods from friends, companies, newspapers, and other groups doesn't only ask that we consume data, it also requires input, acknowledgement, feedback, the creation of new data in response. Thus, each piece of information gives rise to more user-generated content. In the same way that we once felt socially obliged to reply to personal letters, we now feel the onus to respond to open-ended social media posts. We are bombarded with updates on our close and not-so-close acquaintances, and we feel we have no alternative but to acknowledge them in some way, if only because we ourselves know the sorrow of a special event passing without a comment or a photo going unliked. To cope with these demands on our time, many of us have become experts at multitasking. We have taken on all the roles that in the pre-digital era were delegated to others. We read and even write our own product reviews instead of turning to salespeople, and we seek out our own travel deals rather than call a travel agent. We also find ourselves fending off constant phone calls, text messages, and personal emails that would once have been left to a secretary or at least confined to a voicemail machine until a convenient time of the day. Technology has enabled information to pursue us 24/7, and our brains are working in multitask overdrive. Multitasking, the experts would tell us, is not merely a bad habit, it's a delusion. When you think you're doing 2 or more things simultaneously, stated one professor of neuroscience during a recent discussion, what you're really doing is flicking your attention rapidly back and forth between those activities. You can't actually focus on more than one at a time. As you might expect, such mental gymnastics come at a price. Multitasking causes levels of the stress hormone cortisol to rise in the brain. This response increases mental stimulation in the short term, but can lead to mental exhaustion when prolonged. It also boosts levels of the feel-good hormone dopamine, which explains why all those unread emails are so hard to ignore. Quite simply, the compulsion you feel to check your phone every time you hear a notification comes from your brain craving the hormone rush of being distracted. Despite what many people would say, however, humanity is not simply suffering from a global technology addiction. Instead, several theories have diagnosed us with a severe case of filter failure. This refers to the idea that we have all developed attention filters to help us decide where we distribute our attention. We know, for example, to avoid wasting time or brain power on the caller who tells us that our bank needs to confirm our details, and to toss the envelope claiming we've won £1 million straight in the bin. When these filters fail, we become susceptible to demands on our time that we would otherwise have ignored. The challenge we face is keeping our attention filters updated and sharp. This is nothing new. Although the cloud of available data is undoubtedly growing, humankind has been facing the issue of information increase since long before the internet added a new layer of complexity. No doubt, humanity faced the same problems when printed books were made available for the first time. Potential informational distractions have always been present. The modern digital world has merely exacerbated the problem. To offset this, however, technology has also evolved to aid our efforts at filtering them. Social media sites allow us to choose which friends we want to follow closely. Search engines present us with suggested results of items we are more likely to be interested in, based on what we viewed in the past, and filter out those we are not. Similarly, news feeds prioritize articles for us based on what is perceived to be our tastes. Yet even technological filters are not 100% dependable. They make assumptions based on the information available to them, which, as a quick glance at my own social media feed makes abundantly clear, may be a disproportionate representation. We are encouraged to make connections with people who may be practically strangers, which means my list of friends is peppered with old schoolmates I haven't seen since childhood and distant relatives I've never spoken to. These brief and trivial connections are understood as links of culture or taste. They may barely exist, but they are still reflected in the data I consume. It's these kinds of assumed associations which spawn spam advertisements for a product we have no interest in, simply because one of our online connections has purchased one. If you speak to your best friend every week in person but rarely communicate through social media, the site has no knowledge of your relationship and is more likely to prioritize trivial updates from acquaintances over your friend's important news. So internet filters have their flaws, as do humans. But the question is whether a fully personalized internet experience would be truly desirable. The internet of the early days was acclaimed as a forum for free information, away from the influence of mass media corporations and editorial teams. Filters are designed to make our internet experience more relevant, but would their improvement enhance user experience or would it limit it? The answer you get depends on who you ask, but some people argue that tailoring information to an individual's already established opinions and interests creates a bubble of artificial isolation around each of us. By personalizing our experience, data filters are ensuring that we only encounter information which reinforces our views, not information which challenges them. The personalized internet does away with diversity and is transformed into a reflection of each user's personality. Clearly, we need to find the fine line between filter bubble and filter failure, where the freedom and diversity of the internet is preserved, but our brains are able to handle this without giving in to information overload.